Welcome to the Mischief Maker broadcast, where chaos, creativity, and common sense collide. Your host, Joel Freeman, was kicked out of high school in Alberta, Canada. He left home at 17 and hitchhiked around North America as a long-haired hippie and dope-smoking fool. He made a 180-degree change, becoming one of the first chaplains in the history of the NBA. As a professional speaker, Joel has traveled to well over 55 countries. His many books have been published in 28 foreign translations. Pieces from his Black History collection have been seen by millions at the United Nations and many other venues. And now, the Chief Mischief Maker himself, Dr. Joel A. Freeman.
Bobby grew up in a small town, a dreamer with big eyes. Joined the Air Force, saw the world from unfriendly skies. He was curious, studied hard, read books of every kind. Amassed a wealth of knowledge, but kept it all confined. In lands far and wide, in the vigor of his youth, life hit Bobby hard and he remained aloof. He kept quiet about his stories from K to grave. Late in life he opened up, as Bobby would like to say. Unpack your inner library, next generation needs to know. Release your hidden treasures, you got seeds to sow. The world needs your stories, both the bad and the good. Empty the library within, you should, you could, you could, if you would. He watched the rise of nations, the fall of ancient walls, saw little hope in the chaos, heard the silent calls. But all of life's adventures, both seen and heard, remained his hidden library with chapters blurred. Now let me ask you gently, what wisdom will you reveal? What nuggets of gold, what tales of tempered steel? Bobby took stock of his life, his counsel in demand. What a shock, he opened up so others could understand. Unpack your inner library, next generation needs to know. Release your hidden treasures, you got seeds to sow. Write a book, tell your stories, both the bad and the good. Empty the library within, you should, you could, you could, if you would. So take a look inside, I hope you'll agree to use all types of media for the world to hear and see. Pass on your godly wisdom, leave a legacy. Don't wait for life's conclusion to share what you've amassed. Each day's a new chapter, don't let the moment pass. Your journey holds the answers to questions yet unasked. Step outside your comfort zone, leave a legacy that lasts. Empty the library within, you should, you could if you would. If you would.
That's a song that I'll tell you where that came from. Over the years, we all attend funerals, memorial services, and when I'd look at someone in the casket, if that was the situation, or a picture on top of a casket or a picture on a desk, I would think about to myself, I wonder how much is in the library that is gone. And I just have thought to myself, man, I want to empty whatever's inside of me, the experiences, as in the song lyrics go, the bad and the good. You should, you could, if you would. And but I find that a lot of people that have a lot in there are sometimes reticent about sharing it for whatever reason. So tonight, we're going to unpack this in a way that I think you're going to really enjoy with Brian Molitor. He's done a lot of thinking about this, a lot of writing about it, a lot of research on it. And so let's bring Brian on now, Mel, and let's unpack this whole concept of, hey, Brian, good to see you.
Hello, my friend.
All the way from Midland, Michigan.
Yes,
And
sir.
just before we jump in there, I'd like for you, the viewer, if you're live tonight, you have the opportunity to ask questions. So during this evening, just get your fingers going and become a keyboard warrior. Ask your questions and we'll get to it, especially if it's relevant to the topic at hand, or if you have some insight you want to share, that would be good. Also include the country and the city you're in, and that would give us a great sense of what you are, where you're coming from, and maybe some of the sensibilities that you bring with that question or comment. Now, Brian, you have worked with a lot of organizations over around the world. You have traveled quite a bit. You've written quite a bit. What does legacy mean to you personally? And how has that definition evolved over time in your life?
Yeah, I've done a lot of study about legacy, and a couple things I realized. Okay, number one, everyone leaves a legacy. Every man and woman on the face of the earth through time has left a legacy. And we go, oh wait, I didn't leave a legacy. I didn't leave $10 million to my children or a mansion or whatever. Legacy, our legacy consists of what we do day to day with, I call it our ABCs, our attitudes, behaviors, communications, and decisions. And it is the sum total of those things that is left to the next generation. So as everyone leaves a legacy, so too, everyone receives an inheritance. So we've received whatever we were given, hair color, eye color, basic body types, and so on. Those were the physical things. But what we were taught, what we observed from parents and grandparents and neighbors and coaches and so on, the attitudes they showed, the behaviors, the communications, the decisions, that became our inheritance. And then we turn that around and it becomes how we deal with those things becomes our legacy. So it is absolutely profound to think that what I do on a daily basis, not my best day and not my worst day, but on a daily basis, it is the legacy that I leave to those around me.
Now, can you remember a moment in your life when you realized the importance of passing something down, to the next generation, whether it's your values or stories, traditions, memories, accomplishments, failures, whatever it might be?
Yeah, absolutely. My oldest son was around 10 at the time. I was an international business consultant, and I'm carrying all over the world, and I'm solving everybody's problems. And I hit the wall. I went through a burnout period where, I wasn't eating right, sleeping right, drinking right, and was gone all the time. Travel, airplanes. When the people at the airplane places know you by name, that's a problem. And I had to lay low for a while. And as I did, I observed my oldest son and my next son, and was just struck with the fact that, man, every day that I'm out carrying around the world solving everybody else's problems, I'm not really doing a great job raising these young guys to be eventually godly characters, men of integrity, and so on. And so that was the moment where things really changed. And I began to study the concepts. I began to study what did other cultures do, historical and in today's world, to leave a legacy, to help the next generation grow into manhood, into womanhood, and so on. And so I really became consumed with these concepts. And I'm very glad I did, because, and one thing I'll say to anybody out there that's hearing us going, oh man, legacy, oh, it's never too late. It's never too late to begin to empty out, as your song said, everything that's in there. It's never too late to reconnect with people. It's never too late to begin to change the legacy that we leave.
We have a question from Connor Waltz. Thanks for joining the program this evening. And Connor says, if you go in social media, people unpack way too much, exclamation mark. And it's Andy Warhol's 15 Minutes of Fame. How do you sort out the interesting and relevant from all the noise? Great question, Connor. Thanks. Brian?
Yeah, that is a great question. Yeah, 15 minutes of fame. I'll tell you what, I'd rather have a lifetime of connection with those closest to me than 15 minutes of international fame any day. And so the way that I approach this is, and this is what I teach and counsel and coach people: draw a circle, make it a small one. You stand in the middle of it, put your immediate family, and then your extended family, and then your close friends, and even some business associates. And that's your circle where you want to spend the vast majority of your time. And so that is where relevance lies. Frankly, that's where interesting lies. And those are the people that we give to, we receive from. They're the ones that we're leaving our legacy to. They're the ones receiving the inheritance from us. So I tend to tune out a whole lot of the noise, Connor, and I focus on, to me, what's important, which is family and friends that are close by.
Thanks so much. Now, how do you go, when you think about the most important lessons or principles that you hope to leave behind, what are they? I mean, what when you break it down, you've kind of edged around it, but what are some of the most important things?
I think some of them are, and you don't want to get ethereal with this stuff. It's what's real. What does it take in most countries to have a life that you can feel good about? All right. So number one, it's relationships. Relationships matter to me above all else. So your connection with God, your connection with family, your connection with friends. Do you have the ability to relate to people of different races, of different colors, of different ages? And young people can learn these things. They can learn how to relate. And much of it deals with just listen and be concerned about others, show caring, show love. So relationship is one big one. Another one is industriousness. And this kind of gets lost today. But if you can teach young people, if the next generation learn to work and work well, become professional, mature at an early age, they shine like stars in the night sky, because so many are not getting that type of encouragement and those lessons. And I don't know anybody that's, maybe a trust baby or something, but the rest of us have to work for what we get. And I think hard work, good quality work is very, very important. So those are just a couple, Joel.
So you're, when you think about making things sticky for the next generation, the whole idea of making it something that, how do you know it's going to be actually lived out? You have things that you have control over and responsibility for, things we don't have control over and responsibility for. Can you unpack that in terms of, this is what I have responsibility for, and this is what my kids have responsibility for? How do you help them, coach them to take advantage of the responsibility and to be able to walk it out?
Yeah, I think number one, it starts. I love the word responsibility. My responsibility is to prepare my sons and daughters, and now my grandsons and granddaughters, to be successful in this world. All right, and success has lots of different ways we can define that. So that is my responsibility. My responsibility is to speak. It's to teach. It's to model more than anything else. And that is my responsibility. Their responsibility is to absorb as much of that as they can. Now, what we have to remember, Joel, is that this approach changes, because when, Timmy and Tommy are little and they're crawling around, or they're toddling around, or they're walking around, there's a whole lot of just telling, don't do that, do that, because we're literally just trying to keep them safe. We're trying to protect them. All right. When they get into their early teen years, if you have mentors, parents, grandparents, foster parents, adopted parents, etc., that don't shift and move from telling to selling, and by that I mean explaining to young people consequences and options, then we just are holding them so tightly that eventually they have to break free. And so we have to shift our approach to the preparation of these young people. And if we don't do it, you get a number of things that are not healthy at all. You can have a young person, if I hold too tightly to them and don't release them slowly, then what happens is they either become unhealthily codependent, or they have to rip away and become prematurely independent. And what we want is a lifetime of interdependence between the generations. There was never supposed to be a generation gap. I think we create it sometimes if we push too hard and we don't help the young people begin to make their own wise choices, as long as it's not going to hurt them.
We have a question from Leslie Suter out of Riverside, California. Even within those concentric circles of family, friend, and acquaintances, people increasingly communicate to each other through social media and don't even talk, let alone share experiences face to face. How can we fix this?
Great question. And yeah, absolutely. I think centuries from now, the human race is going to be found with curved necks and big thumbs, if we don't make a shift here. But I think what we do is you start within that circle and you start small. I think a great way to fail is to say, okay, family, no more social media, no more Facebook, no more phones, no more this, no more that. Wrong answer. Start small. How about at the dinner table? No phones. We've done that at our place and it works really well. The first couple of meals, everybody's looking around kind of scratching like, oh, are we supposed to communicate, talk? But after a while, even young people appreciate it. So start slow, start small, and pretty soon we start to wean away from these things. Another thing is get outside into creation. It is so beautiful. And if you can just get out into nature a little bit, and I'm not talking about, bird watching or something. That'd be great if you want to, but literally go to the backyard, go stand by a river, whatever, with the people around you. And that natural beauty, the ambiance, and the sounds and the sights will help to break us free from some of the social media addiction. And it really is an addiction at this point.
I know I've seen where people will go to a restaurant, put all their phones in a bowl in the center, and whoever uses the phone during the dinner has to pay for everybody else. So that's probably a good thing to implement if we went out to dinner. Ted Wallace, go ahead. I'm sorry. What you're going to say?
No, that's great. That's great. And if it's with my family, I know I'm going to win that one. The young guys are going to.
Ted Wallace, families and friends rarely live in proximity to each other anymore. There is no village, quote unquote. Work is seldom local or long-term in one organization. So what is to be done?
Yeah, another great question, man. You've got some wonderful folks here that are taking part in this, Joel. This is fantastic. Um, I would say this: there is a village. Now, remember the circle I talked about. A village doesn't have to be huge. A village can be very small. And I think if we think in terms of a small village, um, I know tens of thousands of people from my travels and TV work and all that stuff, but I only really want to spend a lot of time with perhaps a dozen, and only a few of them live close enough where we can do that. But I'm satisfied with that. And family members again. So stop thinking in terms of this huge village and wishing it was different. Create your own village right now. Make it small. Start small. You need a couple of people that you can trust and you can communicate with. A couple of family members that you can connect with. And and sometimes, now this gets back to the previous thing, but if you have to get on a social media platform to have face-to-face contact with an old friend or a family member, I think that's better than isolation. So let's create a smaller village. Let's redefine village and make it a little bit smaller, and just go into the depths of relationship with people. We can do this. We can talk about, tough stuff. We can talk about exciting stuff. We can talk about what do we love in this life, and what are you looking forward to, and what's your greatest regret. And these are the kinds of things that we can talk about that will create deeper relationships, deeper friendships. And frankly, it goes back to your song, Joel, where those types of things, when they're shared, we are spilling out of the library within.
Thanks, Ted. And thanks, Brian. Now, a few comments earlier, you mentioned the word success. And I just was wondering what your definition of success is, and how does one know if they are successful, or if they're, what does that mean?
Yeah. 10 people will give you 10 different answers. And mine, it's money is part of it, which is where we go all the time. Oh, money. No. Enough money that I don't stress at night, that I can sleep at night, that my bills are paid, and I got a little left over that I can bless other people with. Okay, there's the money part. Relationship success is the most important in my view. If you have people that you love and that love you, if you have peace of mind, which is just such a rare thing these days, with millions of people on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine and so on, we've lost our peace of mind. And the joy of life, the simple, beautiful joy of life, enjoying a pet, enjoying a grandchild, a child, enjoying a spouse, sharing a cup of coffee with a friend. So if you have enough money to pay your bills and you have a little left over, and you have peace of mind where you're not constantly troubled. Now, you'd be troubled a little bit, but not constantly. And if you can find the joy that this life, it's all around us, but we have to find it. We have to shut out that noise that we talked about earlier, and we can find that joy. That to me is the ultimate of success. And if you're doing that, you go back to money. If you can do something that you truly love and enjoy, I know, Joel, you do things that you love. I've done organizational consulting and different things where I'm helping people, and I absolutely have loved it. And so I think these are those types of things that we can shoot for. And boy, if you get confused on this, and all of a sudden I got to have 50 million, and I got to have the fancy car and the bigger house and so on. I know a lot of people that have those things that I would not call successful, because they have no peace of mind, they have no joy, and their relationships are broken.
We're going to come back. We're near the top of the hour here. And Tina, we're going to pick up with you just after the break. But we have a sponsor. It's called Rosetta Universe. Got a little swag on. And so, Mel, if we could play that piece from Rosetta Universe, I believe.
As a modern metaphor for cracking codes in 7 steps, problem solving is less complex.
That's a little jingle I wrote and produced about 6 months ago, I guess. And the Rosetta Universe is it's an initiative that is all about taking this ancient artifact, the Rosetta Stone, and transforming it into a modern metaphor for problem solving and critical thinking. And what I've done is I've developed 7 steps for problem solving, and in about 8 to 10 different categories of problems: financial problems, race relation problems, interpersonal problems, mechanical problems, technical problems, and so on. And developing a 5,000, we're in the process of raising the funds to develop a 5,000 square foot traveling exhibit that will travel all around North America with 4 zones. The first zone is all about the history of Napoleon, the Rosetta Stone, ancient Egyptian secrets, hieroglyphics, cracking of codes. The second zone is all about the cracking of codes, the enigma, third base coach in American baseball, Navajo code talkers, the smoke signals. The third zone is about language and culture, how the two connect and sometimes collide. A very fascinating quadrant in the Rosetta Stone traveling exhibit. Then finally, the final zone is all about cracking the code to problem solving. Once the template is done for North America, we'll then create 2 more for China, 1 for Southeast Asia, 1 for Europe, and another one that will travel around to various cities around the country, like Moscow, Sydney, Tel Aviv, Rio de Janeiro, Joburg. And after 7 years, 5 months at each venue, each one will be donated to a different part of the world to help with tourism and jobs. And then also using those 7 points of problem solving, we're going to raise up a group of solutionists from each region of the world who will identify the top 25 problems of that region of the world and go about solving them. And to help the government, to help the religious community, to help the different corporations, anyone and everyone will be encouraged by this process. So if you go to chiefmischiefmaker.com, the code above my shoulder at the top, I think it's number 2 on the link tree. Click on that and learn more about that particular project and just see how you can get involved in some way. Now, we have a question, or I guess it was an LOL, laughing out loud, Brian. I think it had to do with Tina Treadle. Tina said, I can't think of more than 2 people who I would want in my circle. What's wrong with me? LOL. So, Brian, do you want to step on that one?
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about that?
I'll give Tina. Here's a 1-word answer. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with you. Listen, life is tough. Life is full of hurt, harm, betrayals, abandonment, all kinds of things. Our hearts get broken. Our minds are stressed, and so on. And it deals with people. If you've got 2 people you want in your circle, I would consider myself very, very fortunate. I think you're doing great. And it's not, remember the village? Village could be here. Village can be here. I think if you've got two people you want in your circle and they're willing to join you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, dear. You're in good shape. So I would go deep with those two people. I would literally commit to one another to, let's live with depth. Let's talk about important things. And yeah, I mean, we can get a little political here if we want, and the weather's fine, but what's going on in your world? Tell me about your library. What can you share with me that you would like to either get off your chest or you think might benefit me? So it's not the number of people. I can't think of more disturbing places to be than in a huge crowd of people where I don't know anybody. I don't care if they're in my circle. So Tina, I think you're blessed with the two. So you be a blessing to them, and you'll have a great trio.
And Tina, also, if I could hitchhike off that, Brian, is it takes a lot of energy to have a friend, a close friend, and you're actually very fortunate if you have one. And to have two that would be within that circle as a close friend, there's not a whole lot left over for anybody else. There's just family, friends. It takes a lot. Now you can have many acquaintances and so on, and coworkers and so on. They say that I can't remember. It was Donald Joy wrote a book once called Bonding, and another one called Rebonding. And he talked about who is holding your trampoline. And he said in each corner, you have to have certain individuals, like your family, close friends, acquaintances, and then people that are kind of on the periphery. And if you have all four corners of your trampoline held, and you go through a personal crisis, health-wise, financially wise, whatever, you'll be able to bounce back better and faster by having those corners held. So if you think of it in that metaphor, to have that two people holding one corner, and then just be thinking, but you're doing just fine the way you are, and it's a lot of energy. And thanks, Brian. Thanks, Tina. Serena Jackson, every time I get involved in small groups, before you know it, they want a loan.
Wow. Interesting.
If your name is Serena Williams, I could understand that, right?
Yes. Well, that's a fascinating point. Actually, Serena, I was just going to write to you and ask you for money. So that won't happen. Listen, dear, I think a small group is formed generally for a purpose. So it might be a group at a church, it might be a civic group, it might be a work group or whatever. So there should be some sort of a charter for that group. There should be some stated values for the group if it's anything formal, all right? And if it is, people asking for a loan in one of those established groups would be very inappropriate on their part. That's bad. If you're talking about a group of acquaintances that you step into, I think it sounds like over time it maybe has happened more than once. And so I think let's just be a little more discerning about who we open up to, who we let into our lives, and who we step into. And again, instead of a small group based on your experiences, let's try one or two people. So think about, who do I enjoy spending time with? Who do I trust? And you reach out to those people, and we won't worry about the rest of them for right now.
And it's also appropriate to say no. And sometimes we have to stand in front of a mirror and go, no, no, no. Thomas Cook says, most people, I don't want to see them unpack. Most people, I don't want to see them unpack. I prefer they pack up and go.
Okay. Well, again, if we're dealing with most people, that may well be true, but a few highly selected people that have qualities and values that you appreciate, I think your life will be richer if you can even find one or two people like that you wouldn't mind them unpacking. If we start seeing most people are all people through a lens of, man, this is going to be bad, this is going to be ugly, then we become isolated, and you become isolated, and then we're not giving anything out. Nobody's putting back into us. We become a little stagnant.
It's that Peanuts cartoon where it says, or a meme, he says, it's, I love mankind or humankind. It's people I can't stand.
So true.
Oh, well, I wanted to ask you, Brian, about, I know you've written books, you've been on TV, you've used every type of media possible to unpack your personal library. And I was just thinking, what's the process look like when when we have people of different generations that are watching this evening or today, whatever time you're watching this, either live or on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. What's the process
of
unpacking your library? Yeah. And using the media to do so.
Yeah. Well, number one, it's to sort through your message. If the unpacking is an ego trip, maybe leave it in the suitcase. The motive of sharing our lives is to help to bless other people. So if that's the motive, then the method has to be gracefully honest. We have to be gracefully honest. As a father, as a husband, as a business guy, the last thing I feel like I want to do is tell my kids when I messed up, when I got something wrong, when my thought life was horrible, when I made a bad investment, etc. But those are the lessons that can absolutely protect and prevent the next generation or people around us from making the same mistakes. Here's the way it should be, Joel. Every generation should be wiser. They should be smarter. They should be more capable of succeeding in this world, and so on. But often that's not what happens. And so that legacy that's passed down, I think we leave a lot of gaps in there. And so if we're just honest with our people, especially the next generation. Now, I'm not talking to you don't share your deepest, darkest secrets with a 5-year-old. We don't do that. But when your children become of an age where they can reproduce, they can get into trouble, they can get in a car and go places, they could hurt other people, they could be hurt themselves. Man, that's the time where you have to set aside your pride and share the good and the bad and the ugly. And that happens through quick discussions. Again, we understand that in today's world, we don't have 5 hours to sit with the kids and talk. But man, if you mentor as you go through life, you can get a lot of information out in a short period of time. And again, it's options and consequences and explaining what happened to me and how you might be able to prevent that. These are key things that we need to share.
And if I could hitchhike off that, there's also, I know one thing that I've used in my life is I have made a list of areas where my counsel is in demand. And if I can't see that very well, then I ask someone who's close to me, what are the things that people want to know when they get around me? And then write a book about it. And, Brian, that becomes a time management tool. So if someone wants to learn about Black history, either co-author or author a book about Black history or put up a website. And I know I have a website that is specifically for that purpose. When someone calls, I am very kind, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then I say, you know what? Why don't you go to the website? Here's the website, truthcentrism.com. Read that. It'll take a couple hours or so, maybe. And then call me back and let's drill down with specificity. Now that becomes, first of all, my crap detector in terms of, are they really serious? Because I could spend 2 hours with this person and they really weren't serious all the time. Number two, it becomes also a time management tool so that many times I don't get a call back. So they probably didn't go, or they went, they got sufficient information from there, and we could keep it moving. So that's just some ideas in terms of passing the legacy on to someone that is an acquaintance who's calling or is just out of the woodwork somewhere. Brian, when it comes to passing the baton, we have this imagery of, let's say, someone who's a runner. They have to learn in a relay race how to pass the baton, but then also the person receiving the baton has to keep their focus forward, at the same time put their proper hand back to receive the baton that's being passed. So there's expertise on both sides. So I was just thinking in terms of people, the younger generation who are watching this, what do you think the younger generation often misunderstands or overlooks about the wisdom of those who came before them?
Well, I think there's so many inputs that come at them, again, through primarily social media, from classmates at school and so on. Everybody's got an opinion. And when we get a little snow on our chin or on the roof, they're old, they don't know anything. That's stereotypical. Here's how I've overcome that in my world. When a young person gets past 10, 12, certainly into the teen years, I would never sit them down and go, now pay attention, listen here. No. Here's how I start. I say, tell me your vision for your life. What does a great life look like for you? And man, it's like, sometimes it's like, I don't know. Okay, great. But you got them started. Now they begin to think about that. But after about the third time I ask that, somebody will say, well, I want to go be an athlete here. I go, okay, well, what would it take for you to be a successful athlete? Well, I guess I'd have to eat right. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, I guess I'd have to build my strength. And so it doesn't matter what it is. It could be doctor, lawyer, airline pilot, athlete, If you can get a young person to identify the basic course that they hope to go on, then not only can you teach them, but you can create these opportunities for them to develop the skills. For example, my oldest son, Chris, asked him that when he was very young. I love basketball. I want to be a basketball player. So buy the basketball, I'm coaching him and so on. Well, he ended up playing in high school. He went on to university, Southeastern University in Florida, USA, was a captain on a national championship team. All right. And that shaped his life. Number two son, Stephen, he liked music. And I must be crazy, but I do believe in what I'm doing because I bought him a drum set. The first thing I bought him. I put it at the far end of the house. Yeah. And this little guy, bang, 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 bang. Today, Stephen can stand at any piano or keyboard talking to you, and with one hand, he can do the most beautiful melodies that comes right from his heart. All right. So these are things. If you start with what do they want to do, where do they want to go, and then the pieces of you that really apply to that course and direction, to their vision, it automatically comes out, and then pretty soon they're coming back asking for more. Beautiful, beautiful time when that happens.
That's great. Jack, fried. I'm saying fried because in German, when two vowels go walking, the second does the talking. Yeah. And so I hope I got your last name right, Jack. When I was a kid, Jack is saying, we had family meals daily. And as kids, my sister and I were expected to share with our day with our parents. This formed basic social and communication skills. And we did this through high school. There's nothing like it today. That's a comment, but do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think there are things like it today. It's just quicker and shorter. It's quicker and shorter. All right. So we may not be sitting down for meals together because, Timmy's got soccer practice and Sally's doing music stuff and mom's working and whatever. So there are just so many things working against the old way of doing things. And I can relate with Jack. That's how we did it. Like it or not, you're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk together. And it was phenomenal. It was wonderful. So I think you just have to shorten those time frames and catch it when you can. But there is a need inside each of us, be we a little older or a little younger, to relate and to connect. And so just fight against it. Don't give up, but fight against that social media, the phone in the hand and the computer and stuck in your face and so on. And just carve out little pieces of time. Hey gang, how about Saturday morning we just take 1 hour and we talk about what happened this last week. You can give that a try. If you make it 15 minutes before everybody's that's a good 15 minutes. So don't give up, and don't give in to, well, this is just how it is today. How it is across the street doesn't have to be how it is at your house.
Thanks, Jack. Brian, you have a couple of books that speak directly to our topic tonight, Empty the Library Within. Do you want to hold those up for people to see? It's about the daughter, the girl. Let's see, what is that one called?
This is Boy's Passage, Man's Journey. And this is about helping the next generation of young guys to grow into mature manhood. And I give a strategic plan in there, and it deals with having a plan, and then lifelong mentoring, intentional blessing, and then a modern rite of passage. So that's for boys. That's available just anywhere, Amazon's and many other stores. This is one of my favorites. This is Girls' Passage, Father's Duty. I don't know if it shows up pretty well. And this is about raising daughters, same kind of a plan, lifelong mentoring, intentional blessing, and a rite of passage. And so we talk about my sons and daughters and the things that my wife and I did to help them to kind of move into their next phase of life. They're all doing really well, by the way. This is a fun one here called Mentoring Moments, and it's 52 life lessons for the next generation. And it's all kinds of good stuff that kids are not really getting it in school, not necessarily getting it in church or wherever. So I looked at 52 things that I would want every young person to know. And it's things like negotiating for a purchase. And these are really short. I mean, 1 hour a week with a young person in a year, they are so much better prepared. One of the fun topics in there is everyone has a name. And I would go with my kids to a store and have them make a small purchase, toothpaste or whatever, and always encourage them to call that person by name if there's a name tag, because they're not just here to wait on you. That's a person with a story, a life, things that matter to them. So there's 52 things in there. And then this one, I know I hadn't told you about this one, but this is called The Guardian Lion. It's a novel. I did a research for months on Africa, and it's a story of a family of lions and what they go through. A lot of analogies in there. So yeah, those are kind of fun.
That's wonderful. In the last few minutes we have together, your website is what?
Well, there's a couple of them. There's Molitor International. That's MOLITOR international.com. That's kind of our corporate stuff. And then there's Malachi Global Foundation. Malachi Global will do it too. MalachiGlobal.org. And that's more the stuff we do for the next generation. And there's even one other one called Malachi Global Productions. We did 3 different TV series filmed all over the world. And it was all about this stuff, connecting the generations and encouraging people to spend time together. And so we're in Puerto Rico catching giant tarpon, and we're in we're in Australia dodging giant crocodiles and things like that. So that's kind of fun. Some of those things, my show is called TV number 4 Dads. And there's a number of the episodes that are just on YouTube for free. So if anybody wants to see some of those, TV for Dads.
What advice would you give to someone who feels disconnected from their family or even their cultural legacy, but want to reclaim it?
Yeah, it starts with humility. Often when there's a separation, there's been a conflict, there's been a break of relationships. And so be very honest with yourself. Did you contribute to that break? And if you did, lead with an apology. All right, lead with an apology. But I also know many people that there's a break and that individual had nothing to do with it. You know, mom or dad, they didn't have it together and they hurt you. Brother, sister, things like that, they hurt you. They weren't fair with you and so on. And so in some of those instances, if there's nothing you did wrong, if you tried to reach out and you're still being rejected, you can pray for them. But then let's create another circle, because none of us should go through life alone. We should not go through life alone. We don't have to do that. But also we don't keep running back into the same wall. And so if you've reached out, you've made peace as much as you can with other family members, then let them come back to you. If you need to apologize, let them know that you're open to a reconnection, and then be at peace.
That's great. In this crazy world we live in, how can the younger generation discern what traditional values are relevant and worth preserving?
Well, they can't discern it unless they see it and experience it. All right. And so if, you know, if grandma and grandpa are tearing around in sport cars and skinny jeans and you know, yoga classes and all this stuff, and that's what they're living for, as opposed to living to stay connected with the generations, it'll be very difficult. But at whatever point, grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, you know, older brothers, older sisters, aunts and uncles, at whatever point you realize something is being lost here, and I'm going to take responsibility to reconnect the generations to the best of my ability, that's really all it takes. Then we start living it out. We start reaching out. We start mentoring. We start loving people, accepting people for who they are. And there will be a response. A response will come, and it will be a good one over time. Be patient. It's never, ever too late.
Thank you. How can people better position themselves to receive and apply the guidance from other people, maybe from the older generation, if you will?
Yeah, there just needs to be an openness. There needs to be a humility on the part of the younger generation. And, you know, again, if you're dealing with teenagers, they may not even understand that as a concept. And so that's where we go back to, help me understand where you want to go in life, because I've got about 18 years to pour into you, and then you will be off on your own. So that's where that begins. If you're talking about 20-year-olds and even 30-year-olds and whatever, is I would just invite them to be very, very logical. And the logic is, if I can be around somebody that's lived twice what I've lived, and I can be humble enough to ask them questions and not be embarrassed by it, I will learn so much. I will learn things by design and not by default. I will learn things through instruction and not through destruction by me doing the wrong things. And so I think there just needs to be a humility there. And again, a recognition that information is gold. It's just absolutely gold. And so I just love your concept here, my brother, of unpack that library, because we all have one in there and it's good stuff. So yeah, let's be open and receive it.
So if someone listening who's maybe got a little snow on the head and has been around for a little bit, but is how can I put this? Maybe is fearful of using technology, computers, whatever it might be. Speak to that person in terms of how they can utilize this to pass on, you know, the legacy, or empty library within.
Yeah. Well, I think again, starting small is the way to go. If you are able to impact one person, maybe there's a kid in the neighborhood that just doesn't have a mom or a dad or is a little bit lost. If there's a distant relative, we had a young nephew that didn't have a good home life, and I spent a lot of time pouring into that one individual. So just remember, it's not about the number. And it's that personal contact where you see the greatest impact. So if you can't get on if you can't grab your iPhone and communicate with 50 people around the world, just try walk next door, make a regular phone call and talk to a grandson, a granddaughter, a niece, a nephew, somebody that needs someone to listen and someone to love. Don't worry about the technology, and don't worry about the numbers. Man, if you can pull one out of the fire, if you can keep one young person from banging into a wall, you've done a marvelous thing with your life.
Thank you, Brian Molitor. People listening, watching, please go to the link tree above, mischiefmaker.com, and then we'll hook you up with Brian if you want more information from him. But as it stands right now, EBDBD, that's all, folks.
You have just experienced another episode of the Mischief Maker broadcast. Hit the subscribe button. Connect at chiefmischiefmaker.com. Thanks for coming along for the ride. And hopefully, you are now a bit closer to becoming a mischief maker in your part of the world.